more than 52 years. He has been traveling and preaching. He was a businessman and a grahastha, and he greatly assisted Radha Damodar Party in book distribution all over America. He was also instrumental in assisting His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in preaching in China. He has served as a temple president of one of the most dynamic temples in America, ISKCON Dallas. And later on, Prabhuji, after completing his responsibilities in family life, entered Vanaprastha stage. And since as a Vanaprastha has been traveling and preaching, he's also initiating spiritual master in ISKCON. And recently, few months back, I was fortunate to go to Arizona, ISKCON Tucson, and I was so amazed. Prabhu has developed such a wonderful community there, and he is one of the wonderful preachers, and so many wonderful brahmacharis and grahasthas and wonderful temple community. So he has inspired so many people to take to Krishna consciousness, and we are so happy and honored that on this occasion of youth festival, youth camp, Prabhu is here with us today. So let us welcome His Grace Jivananda Prabhuji for our youth camp by loudly chanting 3 times. Haribo! Haribo!
Is that all you got? Come on, give me a Haribo like the Russians do. Haribo! Whoa! Now that's potent. Boy, what did you guys have for breakfast? You seem pretty strong. Huh? That was impressive, wasn't it? I'm honored to be back home. When you're Vanaprast, it's not like they say you leave home, because you have so many homes. Wherever I go, it's my home. So I'm honored to be at my Newtown home. And you know what's at home, don't you? My family. So my Newtown family is here, and that's what makes it my home. So I'm honored and very happy to be back here. And I'm honored to see all of these beautiful faces here. So, are you having a good time? Oh, wow! Wow, I'm impressed. You guys are something. You beat the Russians. They're good with their Haribos, but I think you're better. Don't tell them I said that, though. So, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? How do you want me to help you? Anybody? What would you like to hear about?
Anybody wants to ask any questions? Yeah, we open for question answer sessions, okay? And then, yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I am always curious about Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I have read about him, but have not able to obviously have opportunity or fortune to have a darshan of him ever. So whenever I find somebody, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, so if you can share some of your experience with him, maybe in China, or how he used to preach and everything. Thank you.
Yeah, that could take a long time. I spent a lot of time with him. Well, you mentioned the China mission. It was 1976 in Mayapur. And all through 1975, the Radha Damodar Traveling Sankirtan Party had been going around all over North America. And so they would go to a temple, and they would distribute a lot of books. And they would see some qualified brahmachari, and they would say, hey, how would you like to live on the bus? Yeah. And then Vishnu John Swami would say, Yeah, come with us. Haribo! So then the bus would leave and the brahmachari would go with them. And the temple president would... So then sometimes the bus would leave with like 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 brahmacharis. And so this happened, you know, all over. And so the temple presidents went to the Mayapur meeting in 1976, and they're like, Prabhupada, do you know what he's doing? This Tamal Krishna, and they're taking my brahmacharis, you know. And I just came back from India with all this saffron dye. And every time I dye somebody's cloth, he takes them away. So then Prabhupada was talking with Tamal Krishna Maharaj saying, you know, they're not happy with you. And so Tamal said, all right, well, what should I do, Prabhupada? Maybe I should just go to China. Be careful what you say to the spiritual master. He was thinking Prabhupada was going to say, oh no, you don't go to China. I won't let those mean temple presidents beat you up. So Prabhupada said, yes. You should go to China. Later on, Prabhupada said, but not now. So, but there for a while, I don't remember how long, maybe for a few weeks or whatever, maybe longer, a few months. It was like, yeah, Prabhupada's sending Tamal Krishna Maharaj to China. Now, in those days, China was a very different place than it is today. You couldn't just buy a plane ticket and go there and walk around, and, you know, it was very difficult. So, anyway, after Prabhupada left, and my 77-year-old brain cannot remember what year we did this. It was the early 80s, I believe. I think. I should remember, but I don't. So he told me one day, I was the temple president in Dallas, he was my GBC. And we had had a lot of association before I moved to Dallas. He would come, I lived in Tennessee, and he would come through there. And so, you know, he said to me, he said, you know, okay, and he used me as a problem solver, you know. So he said, all right, the time has come when I need to do this. I need to go to China, Prabhupada said. So, as usual, there's a problem, and you figure it out. And so I'd started doing some research. In those days, we didn't have the internet, so I couldn't Google it or, you know. So I went to the library, and I heard that the Chinese were having conventions across North America, and they were trying to do business with America. They wanted American money to come into China to buy Chinese goods. Now, can you imagine? There was hardly anything sold in America made in China at that time. It was very little business, but the Chinese wanted to do that. So I said, how about if you go as a businessman? And he said, and he called me this a lot. He said, you idiot. I don't know anything about business. I've never done any business. I said, well, you don't have to do business. We just put up a front that you go. He said, okay. All right, tell me more. So we put together this idea that he would go because the Chinese wanted to sell us stuff. So I said, how about if we start a business on paper? And then you can go there as their representative for the business. And you're looking to buy Chinese goods. Well, that sounds good. So I went to a couple of the cities when they were having the conventions. The Chinese were having conventions. And a couple of people that went with me, a couple of his disciples. And so we checked it out. And but I went to downtown courthouse and filed business papers. We had business cards printed up. We came up with a name. We're trying to figure out what name should we use for this company, this phony company that exists, but it doesn't do anything. It's just on paper. So we had stationery and letterhead and business cards. So what will we name it? You know, before we get the business cards, we have to have a name for the company. So, and he just rolled his eyes. Whenever he got upset, he would just roll his eyes and shake his head. Why don't we use this name of yours? And so my last name is Champion. Let's use this name. Krishna gave you this name for a reason, and I think this is the reason. Okay. Will that make you stop rolling your eyes? Yes. So we named the company Champion International Trading Company. And it was real. You can check, and it's still on the books in Dallas County, in Texas. You know, but it never did anything. And so I was the president, and he was the director of marketing. And one of his disciples, Maturanath Das, was the vice president. And so we would take these phony business cards. Well, they were real business cards, but the business was phony. And we would go to the different conventions where there were Chinese manufacturers, and I would look at their product. And, oh, what is this? Oh, how does this product? Do you make these? Oh, yeah. Yes. How much are you? Oh, these are. Tell me, could I send my representative over to China, to your factory, and let him look at your manufacturing process? And, oh, yes. So we're getting into China. So I went to different manufacturers from China, and I collected their catalogs. There was no internet, so you couldn't go onto their website, and so they had to hand you a catalog with pictures and description and like that. So I collected a lot of that, and we made appointments. And so then we sent him over. First he went to Hong Kong, and he stayed there for a little while. And then he took the train to Kowloon. And he was writing letters saying, and he was, if any of you know anything about him, he was very serious. He's very fanatic to serve Srila Prabhupada. And so I'm thinking of other stories as I'm saying this. So anyway, he would write letters, and he would say, and he was just thinking and feeling and putting it on the letter, saying, I'm going to China. I'm going to do what Prabhupada told me to do. I don't know why that Prabhupada is sending me there, except to give them Lord Chaitanya's mission, which is against the law. But so he said, I want you to make me a businessman. So we went out, and then we bought him, he didn't want to wear copings. No copings to China. Want to wear American underwear. And this Vicho toothpaste? He said, I'm not taking this. What do the Americans brush their teeth with? I said, I don't know, probably Colgate. Yeah, get me some Colgate. So he was, he could see little tiny details, and as he thought, how should this appear? How will I look like an American? And we went and bought him some shoes. We went to malls and did shopping, and he was going to try on some shoes. So I was there with him, and his disciple Mathuranath was there. And so he said to the salesman, and he's dressed like a sannyasi, He said, "Can I try these shoes on?" And the salesman in the department store, and he wanted to know, what kind of shoes does a businessman wear? I said, well, you got to wear good ones. Because businessmen, at least then, I don't know it's been a long time since I've been in the business world. When they met you, they would look at your shoes. You could tell a lot about a man by the shoes that he wears, Materialism. So he says, "Can I try these shoes on?" And the salesman looked down, and he's barefooted. He's wearing some sandals. And he said, "Well, yeah, but you're going to have to put on some socks if you're going to put your foot in the shoe. You can't just..." So he said, "All right, I'll take these socks here." And so he said to me, "Buy me some socks." So, okay, I said, "What, do you have a particular color?" "Look, I don't care. I just need to put the shoes on. Would you just get me some socks?" Yeah. There we go, rolling the eyes. So he puts the socks on. He tries on a couple of pairs of shoes. And we decided which ones he want. And he tried on a few pairs of shoes. And so Mathuranath, his disciple, decided these socks and these shoes are prasadam now, so I can't leave them here. So whatever shoes he tried on, he bought. And he's going to take them home, and he's just going to keep them or give them to other disciples. So anyway, we finally got him decked out. So he's writing letters. Here it is. The moment has come. I am here. I work for Champion International Trading Company, and I'm the director of marketing. He had taken mental possession of this company. And he meditated on it so much, he could picture what this company looked like, even though it didn't exist. And he could be a very convincing person. So, anyway, he was meditating on that, and he just wanted to write it and share it with me. And so, finally the day came, and he took off, went to Hong Kong, and then stayed there for a little while. At that time, Hong Kong was under lease. The Great Britain leased Hong Kong from the Chinese. Then when the lease ran out, the Chinese took it back. So he's on the train going to Kowloon, and he's thinking, I don't know. So I was thinking, this reminds me of Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was coming to America. Same thing. I don't know what's waiting for me there. I don't even really know why my guru wants me to go here, except to give them Krishna consciousness. And so he went, had all these appointments that I had made. And so he went to the different manufacturers and started a relationship with them. And in those days, if you could get into China, when you walked out of your hotel room, somebody would accompany you. You couldn't just go walk the streets. It was a different world. So, but in the towns where he was going, the manufacturers liked him. He was very charming. Devotees are charming, because Krishna's charming. And we're part and parcel of Krishna. And so it was kind of like, hey, this is a good guy. Local manufacturer who employs a lot of people. This is a good man. So he could actually go out and walk without the guard accompanying him. So of course, towards the end, he started to preach. You know, he would meet people and he would preach to them. And from the very beginning, people started to become devotees in their heart. You know? And so, that's how he got it started. And then he kept going back, you know, to the same people and even different people in different places in China. And he would meet new people and preach about Krishna consciousness. I mean, they would have thrown him in jail if they'd caught him. He would have gone to jail. And I mean, in those days, if you went to jail doing something like that in China, you might disappear. No one may ever hear about you again. You know, so, and he knew the risks, but he decided, no, this is, and he was set. I'm gonna serve Srila Prabhupada in this way. And so, very potent preacher. He was convinced. When you're convinced, you're convincing. You know, if you have little doubts, then you're not fully convincing because you're not fully convinced. But he was sold out, fully convinced, so he could convince. So, little by little, people started to become devotees. And so, as time went by, other people started to go with him, and it turned into what it is today. Many Chinese devotees today. And so, it's an exciting chapter in ISKCON history. You know, Tamal Krishna Maharaj going to China. And how the whole thing, it led up to Prabhupada saying, yes. What? I asked him, were you surprised when Prabhupada said, yes? He said, yes. I mean, that was like, it was like him saying, well, maybe I should just go to the moon. Prabhupada's not going to say yes. It was almost as difficult. It might have been easier to go to the moon than go to China, you know, in some ways. So he was shocked, but he got over it real quick, you know. He would have gone sooner if Prabhupada's health if Prabhupada didn't leave, he would have gone sooner. So, I mean, I'm condensing it, but that's a lot of the China beginning, or China story, you know. So, does that answer your question? Yeah?
Yes, Prabhu.
I see Radhesham Prabhu. I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you, but what do you guys think about that class this morning? Who was in the class? It was great. It was fantastic. It's the art of communication. Fantastic. I fully enjoyed it. That's what I needed to help me fight my jet lag, wake me up. You know, I'm thinking. Kind of. Actually, had a thought of if I had said, and I wanted to say, why didn't I make some notes? Because you made some good points, and at my age, I don't remember much. So, if I had said that out loud, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj had been around, he would say, "You want to know why you didn't make notes?" Yeah, why? Because you're an idiot. It was different when he called me an idiot. It wasn't like hurtful. It wasn't mean. That's just... And so I learned, you know, when he was chastising, not to defend. You don't defend. You take it like a man. And boy, could he chastise. They called him hot tamale. You know, in America, in the Southwest, Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico, they have these tamales. And they're made out of corn and something and meat and whatever, and they put a lot of chilies in them sometimes, and they're hot. So people refer to them as a hot tamale. So people called him Hot Tamale, not to his face. So, so he would call me an idiot. So I learned not to defend. So he would say something like, "Why did you do that?" I said, I've got a Kali Yuga brain. I have mush for brains. Now, if I had said, "I didn't do that, he did it," he would say, "Wait a minute. Hold on. You're saying that he did it?" "Yeah, he did it. And he saw him, and they all saw him." "All right. Who's in charge?" Me. That's why I say you're an idiot. You know. But when I said, I did it because I've got mush for brains. I have a Kali Yuga brain. Well, that was a whole different. He would say, "No, you've got a very good brain. Brain is good. Maybe I'm just no, you're not lazy at all. No, you're overworked. You know, you're trying to do too many things, at the same time." So I learned early not to defend. Well, it's not mine. He did it, Boy, that was the wrong thing to say. So I learned that early. So that became our relationship. I was making what he would determine would be a mistake. Why was it a mistake? Because it wasn't perfect. Why did he expect perfection? Because Prabhupada demanded perfection from him. And Prabhupada was very tough on Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And he told me one time, he said, "Do you know why Prabhupada is so hard on me?" This is like in 1974, 75. "Do you know why Prabhupada is so heavy with me?" And I said, "No, why?" He said, "Because I can take it." And he actually felt it was kind of nectar when Prabhupada would... Sometimes Prabhupada would say, he's in a group meeting, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj would do something that would upset Prabhupada a little bit, and he would say, Prabhupada would say, "Everybody leave. You stay." Because Prabhupada's going to give him sauce, So he knew he was in for it. But sometimes the spiritual master has a disciple that's so sold out that you can be perfectly honest. You can say. You can be heavy. And the disciple learns and grows. And some people you may have to say, "Oh, you're a good devotee. You're very good. You're doing a very good job. Get him out of here." So does that give you satisfaction from TKG stories? There's so many. Such a wonderful devotee. We had a lot of laughs. We had many wonderful times together. So, thank you. That was a good memory. So, anyone else? Anyone? Yes, Prabhu. Huh? Mike? Is Mike here? Oh, Mike is here and he brought his brother.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Like it's always inspiring to hear about like how Prabhupada disciples they came into Krishna consciousness. So would you like to describe that how you came into Krishna consciousness, and what is that thing which is still inspiring to continue in Krishna consciousness?
Good question. I grew up in the south side of Chicago. Not a very good part of the town. It was very rough, hard neighborhood. And I was very poor all my life. So I left home when I was 16 years old. And I went out on my own. I got an apartment. I was making some money on the side, a little illegal money, you know. So I was able to get an apartment and finished high school. I'm such an idiot that I never went to college because I started off in business, and I went from a poor background, and Krishna made me successful, like almost right away. So then I said to my boss one time, maybe I should go to college, you know, because I've heard that the company will pay some of my college. And he said, well, we'd be happy to pay, but why do you want to go to college? And I said, well, I was in sales at the time. I said, well, I want to make more money. And he said, if you go for 4 years and come back with a college education, you're not going to make any more money. Now that may apply to an engineer or something, but you're already doing very well in your field. It's just going to cost you 4 years of income. So multiply your annual income times 4 times, and is it worth it? Will you sacrifice that to have a piece of paper? Well, no. So I became successful, and I was very proud. You know, I think I bought my first house when I was 21 years old. And so I had money, I had adult toys, motorcycles, Jeeps, things like that, you know. And so I was living the good life, working hard, making money, spending money, you know, partying. And so one day I started thinking, so much I have done, so much I have conquered. What do I have to look forward to? And it's almost like I heard a whisper somewhere, perhaps it was Super Soul, that said, more. And I started thinking more. But wait a minute. Right now I have 2 very expensive motorcycles. So if I have 3, am I going to be happier? I wasn't satisfied. Material life is like that. It can give you so much stuff. And other people may be envious. They may think, whoa, look how good he's got it. You know, well, he's got 3 motorcycles now. Maybe tomorrow he'll have 4, you know. It's not gonna satisfy. Somehow or other, I had enough intelligence to realize that even though things had come early to me, that's all I've got left to expect. More money. So if you have numbers in your bank book, you open your bank book and there's numbers in there, and if I make the number bigger, maybe you may feel good, but how does that make you happy? If you have more toys, more girlfriends, is that going to satisfy you? Because I wasn't satisfied. I wonder what else is coming my way. And so I felt this gigantic void in my life. And I thought, wow, where's this going to go? I think I might have been 25 at the time, something like that. And so then I started thinking back in my childhood when I went to the church, the Christian church. And I had so many questions. You know, when the minister would say, "Does anyone have any questions?" I would go. And I asked these complicated questions, and I rarely got an answer. If I got an answer, I didn't feel like they were being straight with me. I felt like this is just an answer. It doesn't make sense. So I always thought, I like religion, and I like the idea of there being a God, and I believe there is a God, but I can't find out anything about him. There's so many questions. And I'm wondering, how is it everybody in church seems to be so satisfied, but I can't find out anything about this guy? I mean, we're supposed to worship him? Why? I mean, because we're afraid he'll send me to hell if I don't? So I kind of had that void. And so here I am with a void in my life, and that void moved right in there. It made the void bigger. So not only do I not know what's coming that's going to satisfy me, but what about all these questions that I've had? And I started to think like that. So I was walking down the street one day, and here's a devotee distributing books. So I'm walking down the street, and this devotee, he sticks a Bhagavad Gita right in my face. And I wasn't in a very good mood. And those who know me, they know you don't want to be around me when I'm not in a good mood. So I said, "What is this?" And he said, "This is the answer to all of your questions." Give me that. I reached in my pocket, found some bills. Here, you know. I don't know how much I gave him, but I had enough money, and I wanted to enjoy so much that I usually had a lot of money, and I really wasn't able to spend it as fast as it was coming in. I still wasn't satisfied. So here, take it. Give me that book. So I went out into the mountains, you know, I took a tent, and I went out for 10 days, and I read the Bhagavad Gita. So all by myself. There's an Indian tribe in the mountains of Tennessee, North Carolina, the Cherokees, and they have a Cherokee Nation. So I went out into the Cherokee Nation. And I wasn't supposed to be there. The white men aren't supposed to go there, but I had a lot of Cherokees that were friends. So I knew I'm not going to get in trouble. So I went out there and I camped on the Indian land, and when I came out of there, I was a whole different person. I've got to find this Prabhupada. I've got to find this guy. So I just kept reading whatever books I could get. I got hooked up with the BBT and was buying Prabhupada's books, a set of Bhagavatams, and I got and still have one of the first sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita that was printed, 1975. And many temples didn't have them yet. But I've found that even with devotees, if you're willing to pay a little extra money, they'll ship you the books before they send them to him or that temple or what. I say, look, you know, why don't you send me the set? Oh, okay, well, we've got a lot of orders. How many sets would I have to pay you for you to send me one now? Well, we can work something out, you know. So, that's how it happened. And then Prabhupada was coming to Chicago for Rath Yatra, and so I went there, and I was amazed to see when I saw Prabhupada. And I guess you could say it just developed. The rest is history. I kept reading, and I became friends. I took shelter of Vishnu John Swami and Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And so they liked me for whatever reason, even though I was an idiot. They were being kind to idiots, you know. So they would let me sit on the bus and they would be preaching to people. They would give a class. And then afterwards, there would always be somebody that would be impressed, and they would come to talk to the Swamis one-on-one. And so Tamal Krishna Maharaj would say, why don't you come over? Come in. It wasn't open to everybody. You can come here. And so I would sit there and I would listen to them. You've heard of the good cop, bad cop? Have you heard of that? Well, Vishnu Jan Swami was the good cop and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the bad cop. So Tamal Krishna would be the guy, he would sit there and he would preach, and then Vishnu Jan Swami would preach in a different way. And people would be getting very interested, and they're warming up to Vishnu Jan Swami's preaching. And so after a while, Tamal Krishna Maharaj would say, what do you think? He was the closer. It's time to close the deal. Vishnu Jan was presenting, and now it's time to close the deal. What do you think? What do you think about what you've heard? Well, I think this. Oh, so you think? And he was expert at this. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was expert. So you think that this is something that you could devote your life to, I'll bet. Yeah, I think I could. Do you think that maybe someday you will devote your life to it and become a pure devotee of the Lord? I think that, yeah, someday. And they'd have a partner with them and they'd turn to this partner and say, do you think we would do this someday? And the partner was, yeah, I think we could do this someday. And then the real Tamal would come out. If you're going to do it someday, why waste your life? Why not today? He had them. I mean, he was like an attorney, you know. If you're going to do it someday, you can go with us. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, that's yeah. Somebody would bring them a plate of prasadam. They would be eating. You could eat like this every day, all day. Well, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Gee whiz, can I bring my girlfriend? Nah, you can't bring your girlfriend. No. Can I bring my dog? No, you don't bring my dog. What's the dog going to eat? You know, you don't want to bring the dog. So, all right, tomorrow you show up, you bring him, and we'll go. You know. So the next thing you know, they're shaved up and they're wearing saffron. They're out distributing Prabhupada's books. So I get caught up. Krishna doesn't have to have a reason why he gives you mercy, you know. And if you force Krishna into a corner and you say, why did you show mercy to this idiot? Krishna would say, because I love him. That's why you're all here, because Krishna loves you. And that's why you're going to stay here, isn't it? Because Krishna loves you. And you like it, don't you? It's nice to be loved by Krishna, isn't it? So I got swept away for no reason. You know, I wasn't especially spiritual at the time. I went for a long time thinking money, that's what, you know, that's going to give me ecstasy. And it just didn't. So for some reason, Krishna hooked me up with Srila Prabhupada and his devotees. And someday I can't wait to ask him, why did you do that? Krishna, why did you do that? I talk about somebody who was not deserving. If you knew my past, you would say, why would Krishna, why you? Oh no, I'm going to have to ask Krishna. So, he stole my heart. You know, I felt like I'm And Prabhupada owned my heart. So there was no other choice. There wasn't a logical choice. It was an offer I couldn't refuse. You know? So, it's pretty much, it's not an exciting story. There's nothing romantic about it. I was just an idiot that was trying to make money and enjoy the material energy and not doing a very good job of being satisfied by what the material energy was giving me. And Krishna sent in his pure devotee and his pure devotee servants. And through Prabhupada's books, I got swept away and hooked up with the devotees and made friends. You've heard of lifelong friends? There's no such thing as lifelong friends. There may be, but what we all are eternity friends. We were all together. We're here together now, but we were all together before we came to this material world, and we were eternal friends. You know, we were in love with Krishna, and Krishna was in love with us, and we were in love with each other. So out of some envious nature, we came here. And how long have we been here? We don't know. We don't know. So, but now, that's all finished. We're not going to be here anymore. You know, the journey's over. We finished. We're all finished. Except some of us, Krishna may say, what would you say if Krishna said to you, when you go back home, back to Godhead, you get off the flower airplane, and there's Krishna and Balaram, and they're all chanting and dancing, Haribol! Haribol! You're here, you're home. And you're like, oh, Krishna, yeah, I'm home. And Krishna says, would you do me a favor? Anything, Krishna. Would you go back and get some? Would you go back and bring some more souls? What would you say? Haribol. Haribol. Yeah. You can take prasadam, maybe take a bath, and then get on that flower airplane and go right back. And when you come back, you bring some with you. Sounds like a pretty good job, doesn't it? So that's where we are. If you have disciples, he may name the disciples that he wants you to go back and get. We don't know. But if Krishna says, will you go back and get? Yes, 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 positively. It's like Prabhupada saying to Tamal, go to China. Yes. No negotiation. Yes. When there's love, we want to please our beloved. So no matter what they ask, if you love enough, no matter what they ask, the answer is yes. Yes, of course. So that's pretty much what happened to me as far as I can remember. There's probably a lot that I don't remember, but... So is that a good answer? Anybody else? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the morning Bhagavatam class, Radhesham Prabhuji discussed about the Samudra Manthan Leela. So Prabhuji, after we know that the Lord Shiva, who becomes bewildered after seeing the Mohini Murti. So Prabhuji, the question is, in the one side, the Lord glorifying his devotee by giving him chance to take the halahal poison. On the other hand, he took this incident. So Prabhuji, how we understand this incident in spiritual point of view, and what are the lessons we can take from this?
So I only heard maybe one every other word that you were saying.
He's saying in one way, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So he's saying that by asking Lord Shiva to drink halahal, poison, Krishna glorified him.
Yeah.
But later on, Krishna took the beautiful Mohini Murti form and Shiva was bewildered and in that way caused embarrassment
Yeah.
for Shiva and everybody, all his followers. No? So why Krishna did such thing and what can we learn from it?
That's your question? Why can't Krishna do that? In the beginning, if we're embarrassed, when you're embarrassed, who are you embarrassed? Who is it? Why are you embarrassed? Because in your mind, you're thinking, well, that wasn't the right thing to do to me. Maybe that wasn't fair. So, Lord Shiva, you could probably say that he was embarrassed. But sometimes Krishna may do something, anything, just to glorify you. Like pair you up with a devotee who completely or continuously calls you an idiot. Because he wants to glorify you. Because he called me an idiot so many times, there were many people that were envious. I always wondered, how does this work? Why are you envious of me when he pounds on me? You know? And he learned from Prabhupada. Tamal learned from Prabhupada. There were many times when something would go wrong, and he would say, all right, in a meeting, everybody leave. You stay. Oh my God. And it could take hours. And I'm feeling like, oh, just kill me. You know, instead of going through this again, if I give you a gun, would you shoot me? You know. And people were envious because of it. They go, oh, look, they're seeing, oh, they're so close. Oh, he's my guru. Why doesn't he do that to me? So, on one hand, I felt much embarrassed because I'm the one in there that's in there for 2 or 3 hours being pounded on. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what are they thinking about me out there? You know, everybody's going to be calling me an idiot. And many people were envious. So how does that work? The embarrassing part was in my mind, which was good, or else I would have been real puffed up. You know, I would have been telling people, hey, did you see? I was in there for 3 hours this time, man. He was pounding on me. What do you think about that, huh? When's the last time he chewed you out, huh? So I felt embarrassed by it. And he sometimes, TKG had a buzzer under his desk, a little button. And when he pressed that button, Prabhupada had a bell. Prabhupada would ring a bell when he wanted the servant to come in. Well, Tamal, he tried the bell, but it didn't work well. It worked well, but not well enough for him. Because he wanted something out there that when he pressed this button, it would go. So 5 people would stop what they're doing and run in there. Yes, Maharaj. You know, so he would get me in there and he would pound on me and he would say, you know why I'm doing this? He said this many times. And I said, I don't. Because you can take it. And I remember hearing him telling Abhiram, my godbrother Abhiram, you know, Abhiram would say, you know, boy, Prabhupada used to beat you up, boy. And yeah, you know why? Because I can take it. you know. And so sometimes he would really chew me out for a long time, and then he would say, "All right, that's enough. You can leave." And so I would, Hare Krishna Maharaj, and go out, close the door, walking down the hallway, and I'd get halfway down the hallway, and I'd hear, he thought of more. So I would open the door and go in. Yes. And he would say, "Are you all right?" Boy, that was a really heavy conversation we were having, wasn't it? And I would say, "We weren't having a conversation. You were having a conversation." I was just like, yeah, I guess it was like that. His big smile, you know, most charming smile. He had this big smile. I just wanted to know if you're okay. Yeah, that's what I like about you. And one time, Abhiram Prabhu said to Prabhupada, one of his disciples was a friend of mine, and he told me about this conversation. Abhiram said, "Well, you're really hard on him. You beat on him a lot." And Tamal turned real quick, and he says, "Do you know what happens when you beat on steel or iron? It gets harder. Someday, maybe, he'll become a leader." So it was like, it works, because that's what Prabhupada did to me. So, so, does that answer your question? Is that a good answer? A good question. Anybody else? Any more questions? Srila Prabhupada. Oh, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very enlivening to hear you. Many students start their Krishna consciousness and go on for like 1, 2, 3 years, and some of them gradually fade away, you know, as they go into the companies and they get married, and some other they do mediocre devotion service, and they don't come as often as they were taking association before, you know. So here there are many devotees sitting, many of them are students here. They have begun about 2, 3 years before. Now when they pass out, they'll get placed in jobs, and then eventually another 3, 4 years they may get married. Some of them may join. So my question to you is, how these students and working devotees who may not be able to become like brahmacharis, full-time brahmacharis, in whatever position they are, to keep that fire of Krishna consciousness consistently, you know, over decades, and do some very powerful contribution to Prabhupada's movement in terms of, you know, preaching, book distribution, and yes, most importantly, my question is how they can strongly identify with Prabhupada's mission, that, you know, I belong to Prabhupada and I should do something. If you could throw light on that.
The reason why they're having this predicament, that they're leaving the association of the devotees. I mean, may I be perfectly honest? Straightforward, just straight, soul to soul. It's because we failed. Somebody asked me that in a class in Mayapur one time. Why did so many people leave Krishna consciousness? You know, after starting out and making some advancement. And I said, you know, leave Krishna consciousness. They leave you. Then they leave me. And they'll leave him. We hurt them. Or we didn't help them enough. If you give somebody Krishna, I mean, you really give them Krishna, they're not going to let him go. As a matter of fact, when they leave us, they probably still have an altar at home. You know? They didn't turn. Sometimes, once in a while, people will turn their back on Krishna. I've seen God brothers do that. You know, they disappear, they leave after being active for a long time, and they're gone. And then you meet them, it's like in a store. You know, I was shopping one time in Dallas, and I ran into a God brother that has been gone for a couple of years. And so I said, "Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu." And he said, "Hi." Oops, this isn't sounding good. And I said, "Hey, look, let me shoot you straight. I'm curious. Why did you leave?" And he said, "That was just a phase in my life that I went through, and now I'm through it." He's the only one that left that ever said anything like that. Many people, if they trust you and they feel some connection and feel some affection from you, they may tell you, "Well, it was so-and-so's fault. I didn't like the way this guy dealt with me. I was beyond humiliated. In other words, I was hurt. You hurt me." We got to stop that. For the most part, our ISKCON has become good, better, at not hurting, you see. But I think we probably have some room to grow to endear people, you see. We're not, I mean, I've often said that ISKCON is like training wheels for the spiritual world. You know, they'd have if you have a child learning to ride a bicycle, they have these wheels that they put on to keep it from falling over so they can get some confidence. So ISKCON is like training wheels for Goloka Vrindavan. So we need to teach people, how will you relate with the other living entities and Krishna when you go home? This is training. You can't just appear in Goloka Vrindavan and still have this contamination. You're going to know how do you behave in loving relationship with the people around you. Anybody that's a leader has to give that. We have to give that. So sometimes I see that we failed. Actually, Prabhupada said one time, Prabhupada said a couple of different things, but one thing that I remember is Prabhupada said that if they leave, it's 50% his fault and 50% your fault. "Oh, but Prabhupada, you didn't defend, you know. But I tried." Then why is he gone? Did you go get him? Huh? Oh, you didn't think of that. Could you have humbled yourself? Knock on his door? I am so sorry, Prabhu. If it's not your fault and you tell someone, "I'm so sorry," a lot of times they'll say, "Look, it wasn't your fault. It was my fault." So then the loving bond, you know, happens. I mean, we're going to have to learn this if we're going to associate with Krishna and Balaram and all the other living entities. So this is where we're going, you know. That's what we're trying to become. We have to do that now, here. And I know we've got so many other things to do. Yeah, that's a good idea, but first, no, this is first. First, we have to, not only to help the rank and file, but to help us. We got to learn this too. And so if we're sincere about that, Krishna will empower you. Krishna wants us all to come back and be active, functioning, liberated souls. What does a liberated soul do? How does he deal with the other liberated souls? We got to start doing that right now. And it has to be, if not priority one, then very close. It's very important for us. And it'll make Srila Prabhupada a lot happier. It's going to make Krishna a lot happier. You know, everybody wins if we can do this. And sometimes we just have to beg Krishna, you know, please help me, help me.
Different people who become a little weak in Krishna consciousness, they are at different levels, I feel. Actually, some of them are initiated, so they do minimum 16 rounds, you know, follow 4 regs and just go to company and take care of a family. And once a month come to temple, you know, on festival days, they show up and then take advantage and go back. Some of them are like that. Some of them may be connecting with some other community members just for the sake of social friendship. And they do minimum spiritual. There are many people who do minimum, they do. But actually we would like to see them, you know, do much more than they have that time, energy, potential, you know. So
can you see the potential in these people?
yeah, they have.
Did you convince them that they had that potential?
Yeah, one thing we find it challenging is that nowadays the communities have developed very huge now.
Yeah.
Very big. In the early days when Prabhupada was dealing in New York, it was a small group. Similarly in San Francisco also. And then as the society expanded, then Prabhupada could only give limited time to some people. You know, many others, many even Prabhupada disciples say that they rarely had personal association with Prabhupada. You know. So because of that I feel that's where the challenge comes. The temples are there, leaders are there, and then the preaching is happening also. And the communities swell up bigger and bigger. So it's like a fastly moving train. Anybody who boards the train goes with the train. And anybody who doesn't go with that mission. There are devotees who connect for book distribution. There are devotees who connect for fundraising. There are devotees who come to temple and do cooking for the deities, worshipping deity, you know, actively involved. So those who are connected like this, they are going with the mission. And then there are others who get initiated and they are silently sitting at home and there's no one to like go behind them. There are many people. And also maybe somebody went behind them, tried their best, but then, you know, some people are so difficult to pull them out of their cozy shell. Then those who put effort, they leave after some time. You know, this person is very difficult to deal with. So, because the communities increase bigger in size over a period of time.
But again, you know, when you get to be old, you get more straightforward with people. So here's me being straightforward. That's no excuse. The community got big. What would Prabhupada say? Well, the community got big, Prabhupada. So what did you do? How did you adapt? You know, it'll always come back to, I failed. I want to defend. Well, I did this and I did that and I did this. Yes, but you didn't win. You didn't keep him. So how do we do? The community expands.
Is there an example anywhere in the world, one community with a huge thousands of people, every one of them is fully alive in Krishna consciousness? We would like to show some example like that.
So we need more leaders.
Yeah.
If you have, let's say the ratio is 1 leader to 50 followers.
We have that. We have 100 leaders with each 40 families under them. But over a period of time, my observation is not all leaders are as alive and in Krishna consciousness. Some of them, I feel that they are not ready to invest the energy, time, in spiritual life by which they can awaken their Krishna consciousness. On the contrary, they may be investing the time in maintaining the status quo, things like that, yeah. So, yes, this is the system which Radhanath Swami also follows. Radhanath Swami in Chowpatty temple, as you rightly said, it's impossible for us to maintain a very huge community.
Yeah.
Like in Pune, we have 6,000 people, and we have 100 leaders. We have, each leader is taking care of about 60 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it's going on.
60 is kind of pushing it, isn't it?
60 means it's only 15, 20 families only.
Yeah.
Because one family with a husband, wife, and 2 children.
And if we don't have enough numbers of leaders, then we have to raise the quality of the leaders so that he can deal with more.
But when we do a program for the quality of leaders, say we have 160 leaders in Pune. So when I am doing a special training program for the leaders, I get only about 80 registered out of them. And out of that 80, 60 will promptly come. And they are mostly the little younger ones. The very old ones, they already know what I'm going to say. What will be taught, the training program, what will be emphasized, they know it. So, although they may be interested in some scholarly study and things like that, the kind of Krishna consciousness Prabhupada has instituted and emphasized, people don't live according to that. So, sometimes I feel that this is the situation. So, whatever best we can do, it's like making the best out of bad bargain, we say, no? That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever is willing to receive, we are giving them. And then those who are neutral, we make a little more effort. And then those who are on the other side, absolutely not interested. Then after a few trials, we give them up. So, and in that way, like Pune, we have 6,000 congregation. The real donors and money bringers are only 700 out of this. Of course, 6,000 congregation members means like 1,500 families. 1,500, 2,000 families. Out of that, about, we can say, 700 people are either giving some donation or bringing some donation. So in book distribution, although we have 6,000 members, very active participants are only 300. People very active, and they are bringing the entire score for the book marathon also. So sometimes we feel that we have a lot of devotees, and as you rightly said, the Prabhupada said this example also. 10 leaders, a guru would train, and they all would train 10 each. So guru can take care of 100 people. So this is very, very good, works very well on paper. But when you go in the real practical field, out of 10, whether all 10 will be able to train 10 each properly, I think that's where something falls short. Yeah. The reason I was asking you this question is because sometimes I go to other communities also, and I try to find out how they keep the pace and momentum of the leaders alive, all their life till the last breath. So I keep learning from them when I go to different communities. So if you could share something, what you do there in Tucson, which year you began and how did you develop and how do you maintain, if you could say that.
We have, excuse me, could I get some water? Oh, this is for me. I thought that was yours. Would you take a taste just to purify it for me? No? Okay. Thank you. Forgive me for my... I have one friend, Durlab Darshan Prabhu, God brother. We were together in Dallas, and we did a lot of service together, and we got close. And then, as it turned out, he married a young lady and moved from Texas to North Carolina. And we were friends, we would talk every day. Then it got to where we wouldn't talk but maybe a couple of times a year, 4 times a year. And then it got to maybe twice a year. And then maybe once every couple of years. Over 50 years and so a couple of years ago, I was in his neck of the woods, and he came to visit. And I told him, I said, Durlab, I'm so sorry. Why are you sorry? I just feel like I've let you down. I never call you. I don't send you. I don't communicate with you. And he always called me Jeev, you know. A few of my older godbrothers, they would just call me Jeev, you know. I called him Durlab, you know. And so he said, we don't have that kind of relationship. It's not like a clock that you have to wind up or it'll run down. Because I think of you, and I know you think of me. What that relationship that we had is eternal, and for our love for each other to continue, you know, it doesn't have to be wound up. He said, I have friends that call me every day. Devotee friend, they call every day. And I don't have as much of a loving relationship with them as I have with you. I was like shocked. I said, really? Yeah. So I've started thinking about that. You know, well, I guess we shared enough together, enough loving relationship that we don't need that to keep winding the relationship up. We've realized that, hey, you and I are a thing, and it's like that forever. Without saying the words, we both, or at least he knew it. I'm an idiot. What do I know, you know? So I was like, oh, wow. Because I felt guilty. I don't feel like I have, I mean, I can use the excuse I don't have time to call all these people that I love every day. I can't do that. And so, well, then I started thinking, and for months after that, I started thinking, so it's the quality of the relationship that awakens the eternal relationship. In other words, we're not working on a relationship. We've reawakened a relationship that we somehow or other had before we came to this material world. And that was an eternal relationship. And eternity goes two ways, this way and that way. Always was, always will be. There was a time in my trip through this material world where I didn't know him. But we got together, we served together enough, we developed enough love together that that eternal relationship that was behind us somehow or other awakened. So it is eternal. Not that we abuse that. So the question that I ask myself is, how do we establish these eternal relationships? Well, you got to think about that. When you're starting a relationship with someone, you've got to have a plan. This is going to be the continuation of our already existing eternal relationship. And so we can't see that eternal relationship that we've always had when we're in Maya, and now we're becoming devotees together. We should somehow or other work consciously to reestablish that. Not that, well, you're a great guy, you're doing some service, we appreciated that, but, you know, I don't know if I like you very much anymore because you just don't come around. I mean, have you ever had that happen? You ever see? I've seen people feel that way. And Prabhupada was not like that. I can't remember who it was, but Prabhupada was visiting a temple and some devotee wasn't there. Prabhupada's looking around and he said, hey, where is so-and-so Das? Oh, Prabhupada, he left. Huh? No. Yes, Prabhupada, he left. Well, go get him. Huh? Go get him. All right. And Prabhupada said, now, get up, go get him. So this is the way Prabhupada thought. No, this is not going to happen. This story is not going to end this way. And so my question is, do we do enough? Are we conscious of it enough with all of these folks to not see them as assets, I don't know if that's very common in ISKCON, but it was for a while in different places. You join, and I'm getting something from you. You're bringing in Lakshmi, or you're always in the kitchen.
And that is secondary. Actually, we want to see them alive in Krishna consciousness. Because if they're alive in Krishna consciousness, everything else they will do. If somebody becomes dead in Krishna consciousness, materially dead, spiritually dead, it's like that.
But if they become dead in Krishna consciousness, are you going to love them any less?
Actually, it's not that we don't love them, because, they are devotees. But in the long run, what happens is people under them suffer. Like imagine we have given some 20 people under them, 30 people under them. They also follow their wrong role model. Correct, no? Actually, we are more worried about that than an individual. Like, for example, an individual is becoming corrupt in character, for example, one of the leaders, and like holding on to the position. And then the people also below them also suffer because of that, correct, no? Because the wrong example that they set. So, the leaders, or those who are in leadership position, should be responsible not only for their own spiritual life, but also remember that so many other spiritual life is dependent on them. Correct, no?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is something that more of us need to meditate on. I mean, it has to become so important to us that we spend enough time meditating on it that we figure it out. We just figure it out. And we just have to turn to Krishna and say, please help me, my Lord. Please give me the intelligence. Sometimes we have to remind Krishna, when you do a deal with somebody in business and they write up a contract, sometimes you may have to take that contract and say, hey, look, didn't you sign this? Didn't you say this? We can do that with Krishna. Didn't you say you would inspire me from within? Well, yeah, I guess yeah, you did, didn't you? Well, so I need you. I need you to help me here. And Krishna's attitude is like, does this mean that much to you? Yes. Done deal. What else you want? So we have to, because you're talking like this, it's important to you. This isn't, I don't think, very far down on your list of important things to do.
In Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada was only in the planet for 12 years. Prabhupada got it all started. But the maintenance there was no time for maintenance at that time much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like everything started. Now we have spent almost 5 decades after that, So in the maintenance mode, because in this world, getting started or, dropping and going, everything, both things happen like in a very vigorous manner it happens. But the maintenance, that's the reason I was asking you the question. Many people get started, but then consistency, like persistence, consistency over 10, 20, 30 years, that when that is lacking, that is where I think that there are people who show up only in yatras. Yatras.
Yeah, yeah. You see them at Rath Yatra, and you see them maybe Janmashtami.
Correct. Yeah, correct. That's right.
But if we have enough loving history with them, and another thing, somebody joins, they're brahmachari, they're doing very well, advancing so much. A lot of times we see that they want to get married. Well, that's normal. This is normal. This isn't absurd.
It is absolutely normal. We just want to see them as good devotees.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're going to go back to school.
Yeah, correct.
I'm getting married.
Yeah.
We're going to probably have some kids. Yes. I need to go back to get another degree,
Yeah.
Because this one I have, it's not going to pay enough to give my family what we need. So going to school means a lot of time. So that means you're not going to see me in Mangal Arti, because we're such close friends. I'm going to tell you, I can't chant 16 rounds every day. Man, I'm married, I'm going to school, and I have a job. And so how do we react to that? What's the best thing to say? I think the best thing to say is, look, whatever difficulties are coming your way, I want you to know, it's important for you to know that I'm with you. And I'll help any way I can. And you're still my beloved. I don't care what you do. And sometimes you have to tell people, there's nothing you could do to make me love you any less. That's not even possible. So they may see inside, in their mind, they're like, because I thought you might turn on me. Because I know how you're like in there doing, and I'm going to be over there. I'm going to be one of those guys that we criticized. So maybe we shouldn't criticize so much, you know. Because he's thinking, oh, now you are going to see me like those guys that we were criticizing before. So we got to get that out of their head. No matter how this thing comes down, I'm going to love you and I'm with you. I'm with you all the way.
In that connection, I have a question to you. In that connection, when we were in GBC college, we studied about one very important, interesting idea, that by being so empathic, as you said, you know, then the community size increases in a very big way, because many people get that shelter, like getting shelter in a banyan tree, you know, on a hot sunny day. You know, people feel very comfortable that here is a community which is very empathic, very understanding, you know, they come. At the same time, when that community grows, what we studied also there is, you know, where there is no discipline and strictness, yeah, where there is just empathy, no matter what you do, then that also eventually becomes diluted over a period of time. And also those communities which are super rigid, which do not flexibly bend, they also eventually become very thin. So we found that like a pendulum, you know, pendulum, this becomes thin, this becomes thin. So that is why they were telling us that there has to be a mean we have to take. The mean is between the two, which is, you know, your society which is disciplined on one hand and compassionate on the other. You know, a society where there are also procedures, rules, regulations, everything. Along with that, those things are handed over in a compassionate manner. You know, that's what we learned when we were learning about that. Empathy is very wonderful, you know, which actually makes them feel wanted, cared for. So people, just like we say, everything can be dovetailed in Krishna's service, it becomes more of a tail than a dove, we say.
Sometimes when we were smaller as a movement, sometimes when someone would have some difficulty, Prabhupada would say, why don't you come and live with me? Just come and live with me. Huh? What? Just come on. And he was serious. Yeah, come on. In other words, you and I need to get closer. So let's get closer. So, I mean, we honestly really don't have anything else to do. I know the argument may be, no, there's so much else to. Well, really, no. Pretty much, this is like the most important thing. Because how are we going to treat each other when we go back home? You know? We have to try to live that now. And we may think, oh, but I'm not qualified. We know you're not qualified. We're not qualified. But we're living on mercy. Krishna's giving us mercy. He's the source of everything. We need intelligence. Well, he'll give us that. Krishna says, I am your ability. Whatever ability you have, that's me. So then, oh, if that's true, then I need you to help me to serve you. And I know, Krishna, you want this devotee, these devotees, to stay. So please empower me. You know, you're the source. It has to come from you. Through the disciplic succession, it's going to come down. So sometimes we pray to Krishna. Sometimes we just talk to Krishna. Sometimes we beg him, you know, please. I really need you here, Krishna. I've played all my cards. I don't know where to go. And maybe, just maybe, he wanted to see you get to that point. Because at that point, when you're pouring your heart out to Krishna, what's happening to you, to yours and his relationship? It's getting closer. Wow, you're coming to me. I'm your only hope. Well, that's love. And that's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. Krishna's like, for billions of lifetimes, I've waited for you to pour your heart out to me like this. I've been waiting for a long time for us to have this conversation. Now we've had it. Okay, done deal. What else you want? You know, Krishna can do that. You got it? Now what else? As long as we're having this moment, is there anything else you need? Well, please, Krishna, I need you to help me with it. So sometimes we find ourselves in situations like that, and we may be an idiot, but we know you're my only hope. There's no place else to go. You're my Shuridam Sarvabhutanam. You are my dearmost friend. I don't have anybody else, Krishna. And Krishna is going to say, maybe you're not as big of an idiot as I thought you were. You know? You actually know that I'm your only hope. That's really all there is to know. Maybe you don't know any shlokas, but you know that one thing. That's it. You're finished. You're liberated. But I'm so unqualified. Yeah, we know that. We all know that. That doesn't matter. What matters is we're having this moment, and it's not going to go away. It's not like you'll have it and then you won't have it again. You know? So maybe Krishna's just driving us to that point where we come to that realization that, look, I don't have anything else. It's like the gopis. Gopis feel, Krishna, we don't have anything else. There is nothing else. Wow. And Krishna's like, I'd love to hear you say that. That's so good. So, in our struggles to help others, I mean, if I depend on my ability, well, that's just crazy. What ability do I have? I have the ability to accept Krishna's love or to reject it and try to go find it somewhere else. You know? So, I know this is a deep subject. We need to think more and more and more about this. Yeah, I'm moving about in smaller communities now. So it's easier. You know, you can be personal with more people, everybody in the community. You know, there's hopefully no one left out. As it grows, we're going to have to go to Krishna. We're going to have to beg. We're going to have to beg him. I need you to help me, Krishna. I've just come to the point where I realize I can't do anything on my own. I need you to help me. Well, that's what he wants too. Krishna wants us to be successful. When we're surrendered and we want to serve Krishna, anything we want is to help make Krishna happy. And as long as we're at that point in our relationship with Krishna, why would he not give you whatever you want? Whatever you want. Krishna may say, hey, look, you love me so much, you already purchased me. You had me a long time ago. And you're just getting around to asking me to help you. But your love was so sweet that you owned me for a long time. And now you're asking. So that means your love is increasing. Our love is increasing. So I think this is a very important topic. I don't know for sure, but I don't think, I'm speculating, but I don't think we have enough of these conversations on this subject in our movement today. You know, at the SGGS meeting, the last couple that I've been to, we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about it at all. Why? You know? I don't know the answer, and I'm not criticizing, but we're aiming at this, hoping we hit that. How's that supposed to work? Bang! Well, I missed. Well, you got to point at it. You got to aim at it to hit it. So we were talking on the airplane, Kirtaneshwar Gurungan and Nitai Naranjana, we were talking about this, you know. This is something we need to spend more and more time talking about, you know. Sometimes we have to look at a devotee and say, look, you might as well surrender because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to come back again and again. And you know what? If you don't do it this life, I'm going to come and get you next lifetime. I mean, I swear I'll do that. Krishna will grant me that wish. I know he will. If I say, look, Krishna, I'd love to come home, but no, I want to get this guy. You know? I think if we say that, that's going to melt somebody's heart. And maybe we should have more conversations with people that we interface with. But we don't know. We don't know how. You know, we left Krishna. We left this relationship of love with Krishna, and we're looking for love, what we call love, out here in the material world. There was an old country and western song back in the 1980s, and I don't remember the name of it or who sang it, but I remember it was like, I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. I can't remember the rest of it, you know. Sometimes in America, you go into a store, if you're in Texas or somewhere, they're playing country and western music in the back. So I can remember here, looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm thinking, yeah, that's us. That's, we do. Where does love come from? Same place everything else comes from. And yet, I'm trying to find it in college or with money, sex life, prestige, you know. I'm looking for love in all the wrong places, and I have for billions of lifetimes. So I'm a novice. I'm new at this. I'm new at what love really is. And how does this work? How does this relationship between two loving people, what does that look like? I don't know. I turned my back and walked away from it and came here looking for love in all the wrong places. So, I mean, we can take it on the chin, but we have to realize, no, I'm defective. I need to learn this. I need to relearn it. It's within us, it's dormant, but and only part of it, we're learning as we go. So we're going to make mistakes. When you're in the learning curve, you know, the learning period, you're going to make mistakes. So, no, very important. We need to do more of this. And somehow or other, I think if we beg Krishna hard enough, he'll empower us. Because it's what he wants. You know, everything you're talking about, Krishna wants you to be successful in solving this issue. So if he wants it, and we know he really does, do I really want it enough? So I don't know. I can't answer that question. Do I really want it enough? Well, I don't know. So I'm glad that you brought this up. It's going to be a sleepless night because I'll be thinking about this, which is good. That's all right. Because we get distracted with so many other things, my health and this and that, and I have so many responsibilities. You know what I have to do already? And now you want me to really learn how to love on a godly level? Yes. Krishna would say, yes, that's what I want. I want you to love to your potential. So is that a good answer?
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to ask?
Boy, that looked eager. See how fast he put his hand up? I like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. So, Prabhuji, in our devotional journey in Krishna consciousness, this is a journey of full ups and downs. Means someday we are enthusiastic in performing our devotional service, and someday we are not interested in doing our devotional service or doing Mangal Arti or Kirtan. So I had several conversations with my counselor also that what to do to increase, what to do to evolve my Krishna consciousness and how to be more enthusiastic in my devotional service. So I get that answer ki does just increase your dose, just increase the meditation, just increase the chanting, just perform your devotional service such as book reading or lecture hearing. So what is your suggestion in that ki how to be good enough in Krishna consciousness, how to be more in Krishna consciousness?
This is a good question. It's like when I was in business, I was in sales. And when you have someone who's doing a particular job, sometimes it's hard to tell how effective they are in their job. It's hard to tell how effective, except in sales. Why? I can tell by how much money you bring in and put on the table. I can quantify it. I can see how effective you are. So, what was Prabhupada's guidelines for telling how effective we are? Temples opened, devotees made, books distributed, Lakshmi collected. So how effective are we being? If I chant more but I'm not effective, well, I'm just blowing air. I need to chant more, maybe I need to chant more effective rounds, meaning I need to hear them. It needs to bring me closer to Krishna. Rather than just do it, you ever have someone say, well, hey, Prabhu, would you like to go, I was going to go to Govinda's, would you like to go with me? And they'd say, yeah, I'd love to go, but I got to chant 6 rounds. What do you mean you gotta? That means you're going to go, is that effective chanting? No. So we have to learn how to be effective. What I do should show some result. So we need to increase sometimes effective rounds, effective reading. How do we know when our reading is effective? We should know this. How do you know if you're reading Prabhupada's, if you read an hour a day, how do you know if you're effective in your reading? By the results. What are the results that are expected when you read Prabhupada's books? you start to speak Prabhupada's books. If you're speaking Prabhupada's books and reading Prabhupada's books, you're going to live Prabhupada's books, isn't it? So there you go. I don't need to just read more or chant more. Maybe I do need to read more, but I need to be more effective. If I'm reading Prabhupada's books, his books should come out of my mouth. Now, maybe I'm not a good talker. Well, they should come, his books should come out of my mouth more. Should tell somebody what you've learned. And as you tell somebody what you've learned from reading Prabhupada's books, you're making advancements. Like when you give class, you get more benefit than anyone that's listening because you're hearing everything. You know, and you can remember more of what you said than what somebody said that you heard. So you're giving class, and you're getting more benefit out of it than everyone. And if you do that often, well, then you're successful. But you're never going to say, "Hey, guess what? I'm successful." When love is part of the deal, then you're never going to feel that you love Krishna enough. Isn't it? I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to tell Krishna someday, "Hey, look, you got what I have. You got what I have to give." No, love doesn't work that way. Love is just ever increasing. It pulls you along, you see. So, does this make any sense? Is that making sense?
So how to be more how to be enthusiastic in Krishna consciousness? So if I'm increasing my rounds, effectively I am chanting or doing my book reading also. So how to do my activities in the service of Krishna so well that affects my love for Krishna and that increase my love for Krishna. How to do that?
Association is very important. I remember a few years ago, Giriraj Swami put something on his Facebook. There's a picture of him sitting at his place in Carpinteria, California, and Radhanath Swami was sitting there. He was visiting, and they were sitting right next to him. And he wrote in his post that the best way I know of to increase your attraction to chanting is to associate with someone who's attached and attracted to chanting. I thought, that's genius, but it's so simple. You know, I knew that. Well, I should have. Well, that's like, duh. Yeah. So we need better association. We need, you want to be more effective in your chanting? Find somebody who's effective in their chanting. So it's, let me chant more effective rounds. Let me, hear more. Let me read more effectively. And let me associate with someone who's already learned how to do this. That's our process in this Krishna consciousness. And when I hear people ask a question like this, I think you're probably a lot more effective, a lot more successful than you're giving yourself credit for. And that's good. You should never be happy with your service. You should never think, "Oh, hey, I'm really good at this." You should walk away thinking, "Oh man, there's so much I need to do to improve." That's the result of caring. Care about it, not just do it. Care about it. That's when you mix in love, then you're driven by that, and you're never going to be happy with your result. Although people around you may look and think, "Wow, this guy is a saint, a saintly person." What did Prabhupada say? Again and again and again. And I am so fallen. He felt that way. Hey, he wasn't just saying that. Prabhupada didn't need to impress anybody. You know? No, he felt that. Now, we would look and say, no, that's not true. That's how he felt. So, if you're looking for that moment when you're going to pat yourself on the back and say, boy, I can really do this. I'm good at this. You're in trouble. You're in deep trouble. What did they say? The pride cometh before the fall? Where does it say that? In the Bible or somewhere? Yeah, something like, yeah. So I believe that's true, isn't it? So if you ever stop being concerned like you are right now, I mean, this is a very positive feeling that you have. You're thinking you ain't making it. And we're thinking, oh, yes, you are. So you're not broken. You don't need to be, you don't, if it ain't, it's like in Texas, they say, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. You know? But you want to fix it. Why? Because you care. Nothing's broken. You're doing great. But you care. And you want it to be better. And you know, I can be better. That's good. This is a very positive question. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, when we see success of others, like by default, like because we are there in this material from time immemorial, we'll feel that envy in the heart, that pulse comes in the mind. But we philosophically, we like in Krishna conscious, we heard that we should not envious of other devotees and other people. That philosophy comes to the surface of the mind, and we try to contract it and try to appreciate the devotees by remembering his qualities. But it's quite difficult. Like how we'll come to the stage which we're discussing in the morning, as Radhashyam Prabhu was taking in the morning, that we should be appreciative and compliment the devotees.
Try to be a friend to yourself. Be open and straightforward and honest with yourself. And when you feel yourself being envious, just say to yourself, are we envious here? You are, aren't you? Just admit it to yourself. I'm envious. Why, I'm sitting here and that Indradumna Swami's up there doing that thing that he does, you know, Hare Krishna. It's got all the attention. And you say to yourself, are we envious? Yeah. But I just got over it. It was creeping up on me. Now I realized it. I confronted myself, and I've let it go. I had a momentary lapse of reason. I was crazy for a moment. I got envious. We have to expect it. We have to expect that we're going to get envious from time to time. So just be prepared. It's not the end of the world. It's like if we get sick, we take some medicine. We deal with it. Sickness comes on, we need to push it away. Enviousness comes on, you just push it away. Deal with it. Does that make sense? It's going to happen. It doesn't mean you're a bad guy, bad devotee. It means you got envious. So, get over it. Yeah. Kirtaneshwar?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the nice talk. I was thinking, hearing your Radheshyam Prabhu's questions and your answers, I was thinking, I think one thing that he was indicating, and that was we were speaking about, but it wasn't other topics came up, was perhaps you can talk a little about some of the things that you do in the Tucson community and your communities that you take care of, Tucson, El Paso, Nashville, in terms of keeping devotees enthused, because we see that, from traveling North America, I've seen, and I also hearing from various preachers in North America that sometimes we see that some of our devotees are staying for a long time and staying enthused, and I think that has a lot to do with you and your pastoral nature. I was wondering if maybe you can speak a little about that in terms of practicality, because I'd like to hear also.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know what to say. I don't know. I just focus on it. I don't have any magic formula. It matters. I care about. What's the word when you want more? Greedy. I'm greedy. I want to keep these relationships. It's important to me. I don't have a magic formula. I don't know what to say. What do you? I don't know. Whatever the moment calls for. And with one person, it may take one thing, and with another person, it may take something else. It's just like, I don't know. I just wait for empowerment to come from Srila Prabhupada through the disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, from Krishna. I don't know. I don't have a fancy answer. Somebody has asked me that before, and I said, look, I don't know. Maybe you should talk to the people, and maybe they'll, because I don't know. I kind of do my service and hope it comes out as good as possible. So I don't know. I think the only thing I can say is I find myself caring. I'm greedy with so many of these souls that we have here, and they're all going back to Godhead. You can see them making advancement. So I want to keep what we have. Mother Sundamani is so expert at managing. I don't have to worry about paying the bills or, building the new temple. I don't have to worry about what's that temple going to look like. I've got all that off my shoulders. I'm free to just do my service. And that service is trying to take as many people back to Godhead as possible. And you should be willing to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes means it may take one thing with him, a different thing with him, something different with her. Whatever it takes. I think maybe that's what we could say, is that we have to be prepared to do whatever it takes. I'm sorry, that's probably not a real good answer, but does that make any sense?
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble and heartfelt obeisances. Prabhuji, when you will be very initial in process, Krishna consciousness, new, and there not be very much inclination, and gradually, you will be certainly engaged in devotional services and seva, and gradually then inclination becomes more firm and firm. Then I just wanted to know that from journey, very initial phase in Krishna consciousness to some passes of decades and decades, what it was the driving force that you was relishing pleasure in different aspects of like devotional services, or it was the love and chastisement of guru that led you to its constant driving force and being firmly situated and progress in like Krishna consciousness? And what was the like key elements that in gradually you that integrated in your personality that made you very firmly situated in the process, and firmly situated in even in very low moments or down times as well, and still you are in the process dedicated your whole life to Prabhupada?
I don't know if I fully understand your question.
What was driving force for you whole life, last 50, 60 years you have been practicing?
Oh. Why, I don't know. I got swept away. I got into this. It was so good. Sometimes there were a lot of heavy austerities, but there was such wonderful, it was such a wonderful life, you know, decade after decade. Even though there were big challenges, still the overriding thing was I was having a wonderful life. So I was surrounded with people that I felt really cared about me. They really cared. And so when somebody cares about you,
That sound seems to be very less.
is it? Maybe that's Krishna protecting everyone. Can you hear me? It's not the mic, it's me. Maybe I should just hold it, huh? Thank you. Is this better? I like this one better. Yeah, Krishna consciousness works. It works. You can't stop it from working. Now, it may not work as much as it could because maybe I'm still attracted to trying to find my love or my satisfaction somewhere other than Krishna. You know, I have a part-time loving relationship with Krishna. That's not enough. Part-time isn't enough. If you're married, can you tell your wife that? I love you from 6 in the evening until 9. Or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Are you married? Okay. If you ever get married, never say that to your wife, please. 100%. Are you in? 100%? It's like they say in special forces, what do they call them? Army Rangers, supermen, you know? These are, hoorah! You know, we're 100% in. We're all in. We're going to go out. We're going to give it all. I'm willing to go out and risk my life for you. And I will probably never meet you. But I'm so dedicated to what I'm doing that I'm giving 100%. Now, you can't do this artificially. You've got to get close enough to Krishna and Krishna's devotees that you're attracted to do that. It's like these special forces. They do it because they love their country. You know, there's what, 330 million people in the United States. And you love them all. You've never met them all. But you're so dedicated to your country, you're willing to throw down your life and give 100%. So we know Krishna, though. Now, we don't know him as well as we want to, but we've got to be dedicated to Guru and Krishna to the point that, yeah, I'm all in. I'm willing to give it all. I'm willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And that will drive you. How the special forces do that, I don't know. How does a devotee do it? Because of Krishna. How can we, I don't know why I don't love Krishna 100%. I don't know. He deserves it. I don't know. I don't understand how I can resist. How can I not give 100%? I should, but I don't. And I don't know why not. But I know that's where I want to go. I'm going to work at that. I want to be all in. I want to give it all. And by that determination and Krishna's love for me and his help, I'll get there. I will be successful. So you've got to think like that. This is all I've got. This is my life. This is it. This is me. You got to feel like that. I'm a devotee of Krishna, period. Whatever it takes for me to maintain that position of being a loving servant of Krishna. Someday I'll make, but I'm all in, 100%. Does that make sense? And I say that from witnessing. This isn't my personal realization. I say that from witnessing people that have got to that platform. Why, we know so many leaders in our movement. They are all in. You know, you got these old men that'll travel around. I see Indradumna Swami. He just got out of jail in Russia. He went to Turkey, and now he's going to Mayapur. You know, here he is, like, he's old. He's almost, I think he's a year younger than me. So, but he's old. I know how he feels. Travels, get out of jail, travel around the world. He's going to sit down without much rest, lead a kirtan. He's all in. He is all in. He may even think, Shivaram Swami was telling me, sometimes I just feel that I need rest. And I said, and he's only thinking that I need rest because he gives so much service. You know, he's sold out. I want to be sold out. I see people that they're doing it. I'm thinking, hey, I'm part and parcel of Krishna too. I should be able to do this. Maybe I can give 100% surrender. You know, maybe someday. We just have to think like that. Drive ourselves. We need to drive ourselves to do that.
Prabhuji, in initial, you were also having your own journey. Your god brothers were at the same level, but some peoples were taken away or just drawn away. But like you remained. That analyzing the initial journey, that what was the difference and which led you to remain firm and led a strong foundation in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, I'm getting energy from so many people that have energy to give. I'm seeing examples from so many people who are examples. You know, they inspire me to try harder. You see, the proof is there. Krishna consciousness works. It's an absolute fact. It's like I heard one man told me one time that if you take paper and you heat the paper to 456 degrees Fahrenheit, the fire that is already in the paper comes out. Guaranteed. You can't stop it. Every scientist knows that to be an absolute fact. We need to know, it's an absolute fact, that if I live this life, that I'm going back home, back to Krishna. Not because I'm going to enjoy more, because it's going to make him happy when I go home. Krishna's going to be happy. He's going to say, finally, you idiot, you came home. Jeez. What took you so long? He's going to be happy. Let's go dance. Where's Balaram? Let's have a party. Let's get together. Get the Panchatattva. Tell them to come over. You know, it positively works. Look around. You can see so many of our leaders. They're there. It has worked on them. Someone may say, yeah, well, some of those guys fall down. Yeah, that's true. We've all fallen down. We came to this material world. We walked out on Krishna. We may get 99.9% of the way back and have a little bit of a fall again. Maybe we don't go back to Godhead this lifetime. Maybe next time. Would you take that deal? Is that a good deal? Let's say you can't make it this time, but you can do it next time. Is that all right? I'd take that deal. Yeah. Where do I sign? I'll take that. I'll sign that contract. But we should want to go home, not because it's like going to Hawaii. You know, Hawaii, people want to go to Hawaii because it's really beautiful and the weather is so nice and, you know, and I can go there and I can enjoy. I want to go there and enjoy the material energy. Do I want to go back home, back to Godhead, which is probably a little nicer than Hawaii? Do I want to go there to enjoy it? I don't think that's going to get me there. I want to go there because it'll make Krishna happy. And I'm never going to be happy unless I make Guru and Krishna happy. If I can make Prabhupada happy, I will be happy. And I shouldn't want to make Prabhupada happy because it'll make me happy. I should want to make Prabhupada happy because it'll make him happy. So we have to train ourselves like that. And we have examples. If you think like that, you're not the first guy. As they say in Texas, this ain't your first rodeo. You're not the first guy to do this. When we see all these examples, so many, they've done it. They're there. And if Krishna will help them, maybe he'll help us. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna.
How am I doing on time here? Am I talking
Yes.
too long? Prabhu needs they have a hook, a big hook, and when it's time for me to stop, he just put some tape over my mouth.
Krishna. No, I know devotees are very eager to hear more and more. However, I would like to see that they take prasad also. And
well, that's a really good idea.
so,
Anybody here want to take prasadam? Show him. Yeah, a couple of guys.
So we are so grateful to you, Prabhuji, for sharing your personal wonderful realizations and stories and enlivening us and giving us great hope and inspiration in this path of Krishna consciousness. It is appearing that we are almost there when we are hearing with you.
We're so close to Krishna's embrace that if we knew how close we were, it would be a scary moment. Are you ready? I ask myself that. When chanting Hare Krishna, I say to myself, are you ready? What if Krishna walked in the door and said, okay, come on, give me your hand. Let's go now. Oh, well, it sounds like a good idea, but I was going to do this, and I need to wash my car. You know, I got some laundry to do. No, we're not. Are we ready?
So we'd like to thank Prabhuji, and we are going to have 2 more days a session of Prabhuji. so if you have any questions, don't think that your questions are unanswered. We'll get more time to hear from Prabhuji. So we'd like to thank Prabhuji for such enlivening a session by loudly chanting 3 times. Haribo! 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 And now there is prasadam for everybody. And so devotees can take prasadam. And those who take books, maybe Prabhu can sign, Prabhuji, on those books. Can you sign on Prabhupada books?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. So if those devotees who take Prabhupada books, they can get autograph of Prabhuji. Haribo.
Haribo!